welcome. Thank you for coming. It's been a pretty great day so far, seeing some of these talks. Keynote was great, and then saw Matt Parker here earlier today. So hopefully you guys are having a good conference. Today, Thomas and I are excited to give you a window into all the great work that we're doing at U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, specifically for immigration, for asylum. We thought this would be a great opportunity to showcase how progressive IT can be in the federal space. Also, this is a great opportunity to meet you guys, those forward-thinking, innovative, talented people out in space to come talk and potentially join us. But before we get started, I want you guys just to get to know us a little bit better. So I'm Matt. I've been in the DC area for the majority of my life. I've been working at CIS for my entire career, so 7 years as a contractor, 7 years as a federal employee. And when I'm not at work, I'm spending time with my wife and this little munchkin here who, I'm thinking she's taken after her dad with a love for music, but I think with a 3-year-old on drums, any 3-year-old's gonna love that. Here is my talented colleague, Thomas.
Hey everyone, my name is Thomas Baird, and I am an engineer at CIS. I've been with CIS for a little bit over 3.5 years now, 3 in the capacity as a contractor, and then a little over half a year now as a federal employee. Outside of work, I'm a huge Chicago sports fan, so most of the time you can find me either watching the Blackhawks or the Cubs play. And when I'm not doing that and it's a nice day out, I'm usually walking my dog, Lobo.
So Thomas and I both work for this team, Digital Innovation and Development, also known as DIDit. DIDit is an in-house federal software development team at USCIS. DIDit is unique in that there's a core federal development team, so developers, product managers, designers, really driving innovation and delivery. DIDit started about 8 years ago, and I think we had about 25 team members at that point. We have since grown to about 130 team members, pretty evenly split between contract and Fed. We have about 50 applications in our portfolio with capabilities ranging from niche native mobile capabilities to enterprise case management systems. So I may be biased, but I think this is one of the most progressive talent teams in the federal space. And I think as we go through this talk, you guys will start to come to that same conclusion. So you may ask, why have I been at this agency my entire career? It's a long time to be at one place. It's because of this, the mission of USCIS. I believe CIS is one of the most meaningful and impactful missions in the government space. We are given the opportunity to help those from around the world on their journey to becoming a US citizen. Over the years, I've become very passionate about the mission as I've sat in multiple naturalization ceremonies, interviews, and have just met folks from all over the world on their own immigration journey. To be at a naturalization ceremony, to see somebody repeating the oath in tears with their loved ones around them, showed me how truly impactful the work that we do is out there. And that at that point, I was convinced of this mission and the good that it does in the world. What's also worth mentioning is the entire CIS workforce has the same level of passion and dedication. Everybody from the adjudication officers to those in finance, IT, security, everybody is truly passionate about their contribution to the USCIS mission. To truly understand how impactful CIS is, you have to understand the scale of the work that we do. On any given day, we're processing 335, unique hits to our site, people gathering general information or just, applying for some benefit. We answer 50,000 calls each day, and this could be general inquiry to questions on specific cases. We do 80,000 employment eligibility verifications through the E-Verify program. We issue 7,000 green cards each day, for those that qualify through work, family, or some other category to live and work permanently in the United States. We grant 2,000 people are naturalized each day, becoming U.S. citizen, with 36 of those being in the armed services. And we grant 45 asylees each day, asylum to 45 people each day. So as you can see, the volume's pretty staggering. When you look at how complex the process is, it truly gives you an appreciation for what we do at CIS. So the part of the CIS mission that we're all very passionate about and we believe to be the most impactful is the asylum program. So every year people come to the United States seeking protection because they've suffered persecution or fear that they will be persecuted for such things as race, religion, nationality. These people are truly fleeing some terrifying situations. So what is asylum? U.S. affirmative asylum process allows individuals that are already in the U.S. or at a port of entry to remain here because they have been persecuted or fear persecution. These people may include their spouse, their kids. These people may apply for work permit while they're waiting on that decision. The asylum program has 8 regional offices and an HQ that are processing 4 different asylum case types. So we've had an overview of the asylum program. Understanding the external pressures of the program is important, and specifically the increase in demand. So currently the asylum backlog has over 300,000 cases. This leads to longer cycle times and greater risk for fraud. And there's been a 1,750% increase in the backlog over the past 5 years, so that the rate of new applications tripling. So pretty significant increase in demand to the asylum program. So we've seen an overview of the program. Let's take a look at those actually doing the work. The asylum officers. Asylum officers each day follow an intensive process of intaking asylum data, security checks, interviews, corresponding with the asylees, and then making a decision on the case. All of this work is being done on a mainframe case management system that was built in the late 80s, the Reagan administration. I was watching cartoons, which I still sometimes do with my 3-year-old, and I don't even think Thomas was born at this point. So working on a terminal like this guy, all while demand is increasing, and we're here to safeguard America while trying to get people through this process. In addition, law states that initial interviews should take place within 45 days after an application is received, and the decision should be made 180 days. So how does the officer help those most desperate in need while ensuring security and integrity while working on these legacy capabilities? So how would government traditionally try to solve this challenge? Most federal agencies would rewrite for feature parity and a more modern tech stack, while focusing on minimizing IT costs, while probably providing the same level of functionality as a legacy solution. Basically the same level of capability with just newer and shinier tech. So where does that get us? Yeah, we have a new system with new technologies. Probably not a lot of focus on mission outcomes. Ultimately unhappy users because they just had to learn something new, which is providing the same level of functionality that they were using on the mainframe. They would have preferred to probably stay on the mainframe at this point. Within DIDit, we asked, well, why limit ourselves? We have the talent, the tools, the culture. We can do this right. I remember at the time I was pitching this to leadership, we had 2 options. We had an existing case management system and the agency was being used by other business lines. And yeah, there was a high level of confidence we could migrate those case types to that existing system. It had newer technologies, it was being used by other adjudication lines. But I think confidence level in that we would be focused on asylum mission outcomes was not as high. And I pitched another idea to the CIO. I said we could stand up a high-performing team that understood the business process and the challenges, that was empowered to make the right decisions, and would focus on asylum mission outcomes. At the end of the day, I think I was pretty convincing because we got the green light and we stood up the team and started the project. So tying it back into the topic of this talk, we were focused on outcomes. So what did we deliver? We started the team in summer of 2017 with the first case type going out in March 2018. The second case type going out in May 2018, and now we're on track to deliver the final 2 case types in October, November timeframe. At that point, we can decommission the mainframe and be on a completely modernized solution. Some of the big outcomes we were looking for is reducing cycle time while still ensuring the integrity of the data and security of the process. With the new capability, we've been able to reduce manual data entry by 70%. So this is a pretty staggering reduction. And this helps with the integrity of the data as well. So reducing the cycle time, improving the integrity of the data. Another big outcome was reducing the cycle time of security checks from 1 week to less than a day. So again, reducing that cycle time, improving the security and the integrity of the data in the process. The rest of this talk is really going to showcase the passionate, hardworking team that are driving these outcomes. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas.
Thank you, Matt. So Matt has given a great overview of the domain and the problem and everything that's gone into this project. But I'm going to dive into more of the technical parts and the processes we follow, the practices we do, and that sort of stuff. But to set the stage, I want to talk a little bit about some of the keynotes this morning that I thought were really interesting. And so some of those was the keynote by Ted this morning from Boeing, and then the keynote by Dick's Sporting Goods from Jason Williams. And when I was sitting there listening to those, I was so surprised at how similar their journey kind of seemed to us and how a lot of these things were really synonymous with the things that have happened to us. And when that happened, I felt kind of bad because I felt all these people that are going to attend our talk are going to see the same thing over and over again, and it's not going to be feeding them any new information. And then, I re-looked over the material and thought about the content we really put in. And I think we took a different approach to showing how we solved this problem. Granted, there are overlaps in the things that we've done and the practices we follow, but I think the approach that we took to giving this presentation and giving you guys this content was much different. So I hope you all enjoy. And so I think that this project would be nowhere without the amazing people that have been on this team. This project has been going on for almost a year and a half now, and I'm incredibly proud to say that I've been a part of almost all of it, not the entire thing. But one super cool thing we do every time we get a new member on our team is our designer will draw a quick little sticky caricature of them, and we all put them on this big board we have in the office in our space. And this is something that means a lot to me because it shows how our project has grown, how many different faces of all different groups of people have come through this project and really left their own mark on it. And I'm really proud to have worked with all these people, and they all mean a lot to me. And so yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to them. But the way our team is kind of organized is that we're organized into 3 groups. That's design, development, and product. Each of these groups has their own specific tasks and the things they do. But really, like this diagram shows, there's an overlap in all areas because we work cohesively as one unit to kind of build the best product we can. And this is how our team is currently composed. Right now, we have 16 people on the team, 11 of which are engineers, 2 are designers, and 3 are product managers. And I think it's awesome that we also support remote work. So It says 3 on the diagram, but as of today, we actually have 4 remote engineers working from places all across the country, such as Texas, Tennessee, Seattle, and Pennsylvania. And the fact that we can do the practices that I'll talk about, either co-located or remote, is really awesome. And one of the biggest things in the way we go about our work is that we pair every day. We do pairing at every level of our project, so our designers will design together, our engineers engineer together in a pair, and our product managers, they manage the product together. And another cool thing that we've embraced on this project is actually cross-discipline pairing, which is when 2 different skill sets are kind of needed to solve a problem on that day. For example, if there's some tough UI feature that you need both a design eye and the skills that an engineer has, you'll pair them together so they can both kind of knock out that task. But I think it's really great for getting exposure and kind of making this transparency between the entire team. And as far as like pairing goes in general, it's been incredibly effective for us because it's the easiest way to onboard new team members, but it's also a great way to help level up junior level engineers and just really like teach people. And a lot of people, when we started this project, didn't think we could do this in the federal government. But we've been doing this for 1.5 years now, and there's no signs of us really stopping now. And so I'm proud to be part of this work environment every day. But going into more of like the backbone of why this project has been so successful and like the qualities that I think make the work we do so effective, I'm going to talk about now, and the main one is the fact that we care. I think this is the backbone of everything that we do and everything that we've done on this project, and it's why we're so effective in our work. Care is the driving force of really any great system. A UI doesn't become useful without there being extensive amounts of research done about the users who are going to use that system. A code base never becomes maintainable or healthy without extensive care to the lines that are written, the tests that are written, and the refactors that are made. And then also, like a product does not give value to the actual mission without somebody being there and being diligent about the features that are getting prioritized and the features that are getting delivered. And so really at every single step of our process, there's a huge emphasis on care and being passionate about the problem we're solving. And I think that starts here with the care for our users. Our goal is to always make sure our users have the best experience possible. And I think that starts on this team with our designers. Our designers on this project use a practice called human-centered design, which is designing a product with your users as the first thing in mind. And so, like in this practice, they do tons of research with the users. They do working sessions where they kind of test out their ideas and get feedback on their ideas. But they also just work through the workflow with their user base. And so I guess in the sense of this project, our designers kind of become asylum officers for a specific amount of time. And I know from talking to them that it's been an awesome experience for them to see. And I think this is where the empathy on our team really starts to show and flow to all the other groups on our team. And the next level really is with our product managers who help to make sure that like this path that we're driving towards is the right path that is hitting this business value and this mission we're going towards. And so they have, in this project, they have the most grand view of the context and the domain and everything like that. And it's so empowering to see when you see them getting down into it, like looking at all the different laws that go into asylum and the different workflow states that they can go into. It's really crazy how hard they work. But they do such a great job of wrangling both sides of design and engineering and making sure that everyone is happy, but also that all our product owners and our users are happy as well. But so the practice they follow is a practice called the lean development model. And so for those of you who don't know what that is, it's just a style of agile that is based off of these practices. So eliminating waste, increasing feedback, delaying commitment, delivering fast, building integrity in, empowering the team, and seeing the whole. And I think all of these are equally important into this whole practice, but the two that I really want to spotlight are increasing feedback and delivering fast. When Matt pitched this idea to leadership, these were kind of the things that were very, very important. And they're also two of the things that you will see as a big part of our development process and our deployment process. And so the engineers on our project, on this project, we follow a development style called XP, which stands for Extreme Programming. And that's based off the following principles: fast feedback, assuming simplicity, incremental changes, embracing change, and quality work. You know, going back to Matt's point earlier, we could have done a full rewrite of the system, just lifting the system to fancier, newer technology, just going feature for feature. But you know, that wasn't our goal. Our goal was to build a system that was maintainable, stable, something that was healthy and cheap to maintain, and something that we could iterate on and deliver more value quickly as we go. But like ultimately, we wanted to deliver a system that could last the next 20 years. And so for that, XP seemed like the right thing we wanted to do and the right way we wanted to move forward. Granted, it's not something that always happens in the federal space, but we knew with the team we had it was something that we could do, and it's been great so far. And so for those of you who aren't too familiar with like the practices of XP, some of the practices are, or the main practices are, what is that? Pair programming, TDD, continuous integration, refactoring, small releases, simple design, and collective code ownership. And we take all these practices very seriously. And I think it's pretty evident in the work that we do. You know, every line of production code and every test that we write has a reason for it being written and for it being merged in. And if that loses value or it doesn't have value, you can, like, trust me, it'll get removed very, very fast. And our goal was just to build the best system we could. But with that being said, like, a great system doesn't come out of thin air. You know, it comes from tireless hours of testing your code, writing new code, writing new features, refactoring, and it's a long process. And we're constantly doing all these things. You know, we're pushing our architecture further. We're learning new styles of development, all these types of things. And we're doing this really because, like, we want to build this best thing for these asylum officers and for really these asylee applicants. And lastly, something I think is always undervalued but is incredibly, incredibly important is the fact that we care about the team and we care about the members of the team. You know, this includes a lot of things like making sure no one is stressed or overworked and making sure like all ideas are heard inside the group. You know, we even do a lot of fun things like playing video games together, going on like frozen yogurt runs throughout the day when we need it, or even like making a bunch of terrible jokes about comic books and stuff like that. And you know, while there are sections on the team that work in isolation, we're transparent and we're one big family. And it's part of the reason why this project has been so successful, because we care about each other and we're making sure that everyone is having fun. And so now that I've talked about empathy and care, another huge theme of this project and a huge thing that me and Matt have been looking for a long time, but I don't really think we ever fully achieved until this project, was the fact that we own our own destiny. And that is so powerful in an organization, especially an organization within the federal government, because it is so rare to see something like this and to have a team that has this sort of autonomy and can carve their own path out there in the tech world. And so in the most like elementary, dumbed down example, like this is what the old world would look like, you know? There was a lot of no, no, no. You were always told no when you wanted things. And there was this lack of ability to do things, which really created a lack of motivation. And that lack of motivation created unhappy people, not only on the user side, but also on our workforce. And you know, we flipped the script on this and kind of, and we've gained this trust, so and from that we've gained this sort of freedom. And now we have empowered workers, and because of that empowerment, we have motivated workers, and because of that motivation, we're building better products so everyone is happier. And so I read a book about 6 months ago that had a quote in it that really resonated to me related to this. And it's, treat people like owners instead of like machines. Machines do their jobs. Owners do whatever is needed to make their companies and their teams successful. And this resonates so much for me because this goes into what me and Matt have been looking for the whole time and why we think ownership should be such a huge part of our culture. And so building on top of that ownership idea, the fact that we have this ownership now has really changed our landscape a lot. And some of the ways, and one of the big ways it's done it is that we have an autonomy in choosing the tools that we use to build our products. You know, for a long time we were just a Cold Fusion only shop, and then we grew into a Rails only shop. But this project has allowed us to try other things, and it's given us the freedom to try other things in situations where the tools we were using in the past might not have been the best ones to solve the problems we're solving. So because of this project, we've added other tools and languages like React, TypeScript, even Spring Boot. And on top of that, we've gained so much more experience with integration services such as like ESB products, ActiveMQ, and basically like every AWS service that's out there. And now that I've talked about this freedom in tooling, the next thing I want to talk about is a place that most federal agencies, it's one of like the biggest blockers to them delivering value. Because at this point, if you're following these practices, at this point you're working fast, you're finishing stories fast, you're writing tests, you're doing all this awesome stuff. But if you can't get your code to your users, what value are you providing? You know, you're creating this huge backlog of apps trying to get out there, and if your deployment platform or the way you're deploying can't handle that, then you're really just wasting your users' time, because you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting your users' time as well, because there's all this value stacking up that's getting undelivered, that's time, that's risk you're accruing, and that's time to work on other features and other enhancements that you just don't have anymore. And so this was us a couple years ago, and then we adopted Pivotal's Cloud Foundry. And I will admit at first I was very skeptical about this, just because I knew there were other things being used at the agency. You know, some groups would hand roll their own thing. There were other platforms being used that I will not name. But there were all these different ways of doing things out there. And you know, as someone who wasn't familiar with Cloud Foundry, I was suspicious on how things would work. But then as I started to learn more about Cloud Foundry, it seemed like the right tool for us. And so for those of you who have ever looked at the Cloud Foundry website, I pulled this directly from their website. This is their goal. It says the goal of Cloud Foundry is to put more of the controls back in the hands of developers so they can self-provision and there aren't a lot of roadblocks in their way. And two things in this really stuck out to me, and that was one, putting more of the controls back in the hands of developers, and two, so there aren't a lot of roadblocks. And the reason these were so important to me was those are two of the most important qualities in the practices that we've recently adopted, and those are the idea of ownership and the idea of speed. These are two of the things we value a lot, and it is two of the things that Cloud Foundry values a lot and wants their users to have. And so the partnership between Cloud Foundry and us just kind of worked. So in the old world, getting a new application from development to staging took about a month. You know, there were a lot of things you were doing. You were provisioning new servers. You were installing packages on machines. You were writing chef scripts, registering DNS names, all of these things. And you know, because of that, you had sparse releases. You could only release once every 2 weeks. There are tons of people involved. And you know, most importantly and worst is that people were missing out on a lot of the valuable time that they could be spending with their families and things like that. You know, back in this time, we couldn't do no downtime deployments and things like that, so people were deploying after hours. This is like 5 or 6 on the East Coast, or even like 8, 9, 10 on the West Coast. And so that's valuable time that you should be spending with your families, your friends, your loved ones, doing the things you love other than work. And it's horrible that for this long period of time, we made people miss that time. In regards to the way deployments were for us, they were this big event. And something I like to compare this big event of deployment style to is to a young child's birthday party. I think they're very similar. And so for this example, I'm going to use Matt's daughter, Ellie, as the example. And in this example, in a typical child's birthday, you know, you have the parents of Ellie who are nervous as hell and all stressed out because they planned this big party. You know, there are bouncy houses, cakes, all this stuff everywhere. But they're just nervous because they want their daughter to have the time of their life. And on top of that, you have Ellie's friends and her friends' parents, and you know, they're kind of like thinking this party is over the top, and oh, now they have to throw a party that's equally as good for their kid now. And so they're kind of rolling their eyes at this whole big thing they put on. But then lastly, you have Ellie, and she's there and she's ecstatic because it's her day. And she's got all these presents for her. She's got this cake and everything. And she sits down and she takes this deep breath because she's about to blow out her candles. And then one of her friends blows out her candles for you, and all hell breaks loose. Now no one is happy, and I think that's very similar to what deployments were like in this old world. You had the parents who were kind of like the product managers. They were all stressed out, making sure all these features that they promised to these users were going to work out and deliver on time. You have these ops engineers who are there really making sure that things don't break and wondering why they're missing this time that they could be spending doing other things. And then lastly, you have your developers, the ones who are super ecstatic that all these features they work so hard on are about to go and deliver value to their users. And they're so pumped up, like 30 minutes into their build, and then what do you know, like a package isn't there and the build fails. And now no one's happy, exactly like Ellie's birthday party. And so in my evaluation or my reflection on that is that deployments shouldn't be big events at all. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're just shipping your code. That should be easy. But more importantly than that, you're delivering your value to users. And a great platform should really make that dead simple. And I think the day that your deployments become a big event is really the day that you sacrifice the ability to develop and to release quickly. And so now in our new world, a new app getting from the development environment to staging takes about a day. Everything is super self-service and easy to use. I don't want to say this because it sounds kind of like catchphrases, but as Ansi said in his main talk today on the main stage, it's as easy as a CF push. But like it actually is as easy as a CF push. I probably only know 10 Cloud Foundry CLI commands, but I've been able to manage the full life cycle of my entire application in that time. And because of the ease of this now, deploys are less than 10 minutes. We have self-healing on all of our applications, automatic scaling. We have great app monitoring. We have zero downtime on all our deployments. And most importantly, we have no missed dinners. All that time that was spent doing work after hours and things like that is gone. And you get to actually spend that time the way you want to spend it with your family and your loved ones, doing the things that you love. And so most importantly, we ship when we want to. I think a good platform can do a lot of things for you. It can save some time here and there. It can make some things easier on you, but a great platform can really be a driving force for organizational change. And Cloud Foundry has really done that for us. And so I'm gonna hurry this up and wrap up soon. And so now everything I've talked about is good and well, but I haven't really talked about any outcomes from this. Matt's talked a little bit about them, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about them. And so the most tangible outcome from this is that we've built a better product. We have a healthy system that's easy to maintain, that can iterate quickly, that has a healthy team, and is just really in a good spot right now, and I'm looking forward to the future. But there's much more than that. Now we've built this resilient culture, this culture that is smart and innovative, and a culture that can learn and has a strong sense of community. And this is flowing to areas like even our interview process. It has completely changed recently because of this new way that we work and this style that we've really embraced as a team. But more important than that, the biggest outcome is that we've had fun and we're having fun. Like 8 months ago when I was making my transition to become a federal employee, a lot of my colleagues gave me advice on this and gave me their feedback, and a lot of it was negative. The most common thing I would hear was that have fun sitting in meetings all day and not getting anything done. And when they said that, it made me think, and I felt bad for these people because my experience in the federal government has been so dramatically different. I wake up every day wanting to go to work, excited to go to work, excited on the new things I get to work on every day. And it's really because, we do work that we're all proud of, and it's because that mission is so strong. So CIS is an awesome place to work in the tech industry. With all that being said, we've come a long way, but we still do have a lot of work left. I don't think our technical journey or our technological journey will ever end. And I'm happy about that, and I'm looking forward to it. But with all that being said, there's so many brilliant people here that the opportunity to ask for feedback and to ask for suggestions about things would be really a stupid misstep on our parts and not ask in the spirit of continuous improvement. So we have a bunch of questions we'd like to ask all of you guys and get feedback on, and some of them are up here. But on top of that, we also have a very unique story, one that we clearly didn't have enough time to delve into in 30 minutes. And I think if anyone wants insight, like feel free after this to come talk to us. We're going to be right across the hall in the room for the next hour, so feel free to come talk to us about anything, even if it's just like good conversation. Yeah, and
Great.
take it away.
That's it.
Yeah, we're also hiring, so.
Yeah, we're
There's our
hiring. So
little
we're
pitch.
hiring engineers, product managers, product designers. We invite you all to come join us. At least come talk with us. You may have questions. We have questions for you. But as you can see, it's a very impactful mission, very talented, progressive team, and we invite all of you to come and talk, potentially join us. Thank you.